Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Interventions and Detentions. And we're back with episode 2.3, Tales from the YMCA. And I'm really excited about this. Today, we're bringing in a really good friend of mine, but also a really good leader, Scott Helmkamp, director of the LaPorte County YMCA. Scott's going to be sharing all about how he and the YMCA are having an impact on tomorrow's leaders. And I can tell you, this guy has had an impact on lots of not only youth, but he's had an impact on me. We go way back to high school and even beyond that. I think I mentioned it previously. We went to babysitters together that we probably didn't even know who we were back then, but I've known Scott for a really long time. He's a great friend of mine, and I just want to welcome him to the podcast to share a little bit about his journey through life and leadership at the YMCA. So welcome aboard, Scott.
Hey, Bradley, how are you, my friend?
I'm good, buddy. Thanks so much for being here today. Give us a little background about Scott Helmkamp, where you're from, what you've been doing, and we'll lead right into that and how that got you into the YMCA. Just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so it's funny you mentioned the babysitter because I was reminiscing. I'm like, wow, how long have Brad and I really known each other? And it goes all the way back to Annie's, doesn't it?
Yep, it sure does.
Yeah,
Longer than we remember, that's for sure.
yeah. So I grew up, we both grew up in the little countryside of LaGrange County in Indiana, and actually, my parents still live in the house they moved to when I was about 6 months old. But yeah, I grew up, went to Lakeland, lived the rural life the real rural life for a long time, and I ended up going off to Ball State to the big town of Muncie, and just circled back to Fort Wayne for most of my career, and now I'm living in LaPorte, Indiana.
And tell us real quick a little bit about your family.
Yeah, so I'm married and just celebrated 28 years of marriage with my wonderful wife, Wendy.
Congratulations.
Yeah, so she was a educator, teacher for
Yes, she was.
21 years, middle school teacher, math. So she's the smart one of the two of us. And I have a 25-year-old son, Trevor. Trevor is in grad school at Purdue Fort Wayne. Is going to have a dual master's degree or a license. So he's working on becoming a counselor, mental health counseling, as well as school counseling. So right now he's placed at Snyder and getting his feet wet with the counseling field.
Nice.
Our daughter Megan is 22, and she is actually living with us right now in LaPorte, working part-time, and she's also in school, doing media communications and kind of that digital
Oh, wow.
world.
Nice,
Yeah,
nice.
yeah,
Might have to have her on the podcast sometime.
yeah, right,
You've
yeah,
got a great family. You guys have done a great job with the kids, and it's fun to see them grow up and start taking on their roles in life and where they're going. So, we're going to hear some real inspiring stories from Scott today. I know he's got a couple really good ones for us, and I can't wait to hear them because I've not heard them before. But like I said, he's here today to talk about shaping future leaders, which he said it before we started the podcast. Anybody that works with youth, whether you're a teacher, YMCA, a coach, you have a real impact on shaping these kids and what they turn into. And you don't even get to see it sometimes. You don't get to see the payoff till years later. Sometimes it's immediate, sometimes it's later. And Scott's going to share a couple really good stories about just that whole synopsis. So let's jump right in, Scott. Tell us, you talked about LaGrange County, going off to Ball State, coming back to Fort Wayne. How did you get involved in the YMCA?
yeah. So I graduated from Ball State. Well, actually, let me just start with this. So kind of how I even got involved in the health, wellness, recreation field. So I went to Ball State thinking that, I was going to be this big business entrepreneur. And so I enrolled in, business classes, and, I was having some success, but then kind of got to the econ class, and the professor stood up, and his welcoming was, all right, there's 250 of you in the class. Look to your left, look to your right. 60 of you will be sitting for the final.
Wow.
Well, I was one of the 60 sitting for the final, but let's just say I did not pass with flying colors.
Yeah, I
and
understand.
and so um, also while I was in that econ class, my best friend's mom, Jim Cheshire, I think you know Jim, right?
Big shout out to Jim, Jukebox
Jukebox
Jimmy.
baby, here you go, baby. Um, his mom was my second mom, and when we were second semester freshmen, she uh, died away, died, passed away um, unexpectedly from a massive heart attack.
Yeah, I remember that
So
night.
yeah, oh
This
my
is
gosh,
this is before cell phones and anything, so I don't remember how quickly word got out, but it got out fast because
right,
she, the Cheshires were a very prominent family in the community because he was a music teacher, she subbed, and the kids and everything. So yeah,
right.
it was a big hit to the community.
So that moment in time was kind of the epiphany that I had. Like, what what do I really want to do for the rest of my life? Do I really want to struggle with business classes and all that? Um, so that moment in time, I wanted to focus on helping people. I want to help people with their lifestyles. I just want to help people for the good, right?
Right.
And so I stumbled upon the exercise science program at Ball State. And my first class was, just introduction to um, exercise science. In fact, at that time, you remember the comedian Sinbad?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so Sinbad came to Ball State, and he actually, in his act, was talking about exercise science and how it was basically glorified PE and was having a good. I'm like, I think I really need to look into this. So I jumped on the exercise science track and just fell in love and I went from getting D's in business classes to getting A pluses. So
Oh, that's
so I
awesome.
so I knew that was kind of that moment in time that okay, I found what I needed to do.
Wow.
My first 3 years out of college, I actually worked in Parks and Recreation in Sturgis, Michigan. Helped
Okay.
open up help opened up the Doyle Center there.
I remember
I
that.
was yep, wellness coordinator and doing some, wellness stuff, recreation stuff there. And then during that time I met Wendy and Wendy was looking for a different teacher position. And so we thought, looking into Fort Wayne, there's going to be more opportunities. There'll be more opportunities for wellness. I I actually applied for my very first YMCA job. This will tell you how old I am. I applied through a want ad in the Journal Gazette.
Oh my gosh. Do they even still
Right?
have those anymore?
That's what I was just, well, no, not really. Um, so I started out as fitness and sports, doing some personal training and things like that, and just eventually kind of grew into a little bit more of a leadership role. So I became an executive director of a couple of different branches. I did leave the Y for all of about 7 months and went to work for another nonprofit in Fort Wayne. Uh, Remember how I said I didn't really get too excited about the business stuff?
Yep.
Well, I was focused more on kind of the business acumen, the analysis and things like that, and that just wasn't my cup of tea. So luckily, here's a story for everybody. Don't burn bridges. So so I actually went back to the Y in Fort Wayne as the director of leadership development. So I did some things, coaching staff, building staff up, professional development with staff, got my feet wet in HR a little bit, and then went on and did um, a higher level operation. So I was district executive director of our three largest branches.
Yep.
And then towards, as I was finishing up my 25th year in Fort Wayne, I got a recruiting call about the CEO position here in LaPorte at the Y. And wasn't necessarily looking to move to LaPorte or move from Fort Wayne, but God knew what He was doing, and here I am.
Well, I think God has used you in a lot of great ways. I mean, you talk about how you jumped into, exercise science. I mean, that's a God thing right there, if you ask me. And just your whole journey of where you started to where you are now in LaPorte County, it's incredible. And I think he's played a big, big role in that and just led you down that road, and a very successful road too. You've done a great job along the way as you've worked your way up through the YMCA. Well, let's talk about the YMCA for a minute, because I think when people hear YMCA, they either think of the Village People song,
Yeah, right.
or just working out and fitness. But the YMCA offers so much more than just those two things. Give us a little overview of what the YMCA has to offer. People like me that don't know anything about the YMCA.
Yeah, so when you talk about YMCA and offerings, you can really group what we do uh, really into three categories: youth development, healthy living, and social responsibility. So, like you said, if you were stood outside a grocery store and asked people, "Hey, describe the YMCA," they're going to say, swim lessons, childcare, and basketball, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
But so things under youth development, yeah, childcare does fall under youth development. We do summer camps, we do enrichment. We received a grant here in LaPorte from the Helmkamp Foundation to start STEM programming.
Oh, wow.
So
That's awesome.
we're working with actually some educators to help us start the STEM programming here at the Y. Um, but even all the way down into getting youth involved in volunteering and giving back to the community, babysitting classes so kids can start kind of earning money on their own. All those types of things really fall under youth development. Um, here's a really cool program that's kind of a best kept secret. Um, do you know about the YMCA's Youth and Government program?
No, I have not heard of that.
Yeah. So really, it's a simulation of how the state government works and all that. I won't go into all the details, but kids will actually learn how to write a bill,
Oh
how
my
to
gosh.
lobby for their bill, how to stand up for themselves and their ideas. And so it's really not just about learning about the government, it's learning about speaking up and researching and impacting the community.
Wow.
So one of the laws that came out of a YMCA youth and government program is the seatbelt law.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. Kids were tired of hearing about tragic accidents, and so they lobbied for seatbelt law.
Huh. So is that kind of program, I mean, is that unique to certain Ys, or is that something that people could find anywhere?
Well, I wouldn't say it's available to every YMCA, but not available at every YMCA, if
Right.
that makes sense.
That makes
Yeah,
sense.
yeah. And so switching gears to healthy living. So again, your treadmills, your weight loss programs, but a lot of YMCA's also take that step a little bit higher, and we are working along with the CDC and delivering diabetes prevention programs, um, weight loss programs based on not just exercise, but developing with nutrition and behavior change, behavior modification.
Wow.
We get into rock steady with Parkinson's disease and all those types of things. So
Hmm.
all ages, not just older adults. And then under social responsibility. So when you think of the why, you may not think of the why really being, how is the why social responsible, right?
Right.
But that's where a lot of our civic engagement. So again, the volunteerism, giving back to the communities we serve, our financial assistance program. So our goal nationally, really, and each Y kind of has their own way of doing a financial assistance program. But our goal is to not really turn anyone away due to financial constraints. So at my Y, we provide financial assistance from a range of 20% to 80%. um, off of a membership or programming as well. So again, each Y
Wow.
kind of does their own take on those types of things.
That's awesome. Well, I know just at Central Noble this year, we house a couple of YMCA preschool programs where we let them have, use of a classroom in a couple of our buildings. We actually let the one that's in my building, they partner with Mary Lee in the afternoon, so they do outdoor ed. Kids are in the classroom in the morning, then they go out and do outdoor learning at Mary Lee's Environmental Center. And we even provide like the short bus for the kids to transfer back out and on, back and forth on. And I had reached out to our local Y and said, hey, we're kind of helping you guys out. What can you do for us? Is there like some discounts on memberships for Central Noble employees? And they put together kind of like a corporate membership program, which I'm
Oh
sure
yeah.
you're aware of. Where they partner with companies and things and offer um, memberships at a reduced rate for employees, and it really helps the company too, because if people are getting fit and healthy and taking advantage of these programs, that hopefully will lower, healthcare costs and insurance claims and medications and things like that. So I haven't heard how many people are taking advantage of it. I'm one of them that wants to take advantage. I just haven't made that jump yet because I'm lucky. The Y is right in my hometown, right where I live. So it's close and convenient for me. And it's been years since I've had a Y membership, and I actually kind of miss it, and I'm hoping people will take advantage of that. But that's just one more program that you guys do for big companies. It's really awesome.
Yeah, and some Ys will even get into doing on-site blood pressure programming for the corporate memberships and health fairs, and some corporations will come in and provide a subsidy to their employees on top of what the YMCA
Wow.
provides as well
So
too. Yeah,
cool.
yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah, yeah.
Well, let's talk like unique to LaPorte YMCA. And I know one thing you guys have been going through, and I'm not sure if it's really a true financial campaign for rebuilding, but I know you've talked about this. Your facility's old, and it's been around for a while, and probably beyond renovation. What's going on in LaPorte and with their facility and YMCA? Tell us about that.
Yeah, so we actually have three YMCA's. So we are the LaPorte County Family Y. So my uh, three are LaPorte, the town of LaPorte. We have a Y in Michigan City in the old Elston High School. And then we have a Y in the Michigan City Beach or Lake Michigan Beach community of Long Beach. Um, I'll kind of backtrack and I'll come back to the LaPorte Y facility itself. So Long Beach is kind of an express. It doesn't have a swimming pool and all some of the other amenities that you would think of that might be in a YMCA. But one neat feature is we have a key fob, so you can have access before or after staff leave. And
Nice.
that serves that community pretty well. And then we're actually talking about a facility project in Michigan City itself. So we currently lease space from the Michigan City schools. And so we're talking about how to refresh that space, how to, you know, be a little bit more prominent there as well. But yeah, our main focus, or I shouldn't say our main focus, but our focus outside of those two is what can we do with our 117-year-old facility in
Wow.
downtown LaPorte. So the cornerstone was laid 117 years ago. It's been added on a couple of different times, but we're actually working with our local foundation. So healthcare or Health Foundation of LaPorte and the Y are joining forces to look at a new state-of-the-art facility that will serve really the residents of the county. You know, mixing in, a walking track, a pool, talking with the school about how the school can play with some education and some different components as well. Um, but it gets really cold up here in the winter, a lot of snow. So, so a walking track, indoor walking track would be the first of its kind here
Yeah.
in LaPorte County.
And
Yeah.
probably a welcome thing, I'm sure.
Oh, right. Yeah. And so here's my little play on words, but it's really my vision. Is what I just described is like facility amenities.
Yeah.
So I just described a building, but I don't want the Y to be known as a building. I don't want the Y to be known as a community center. I want the Y to be known as the center of community.
I like that.
Yeah. And so when you look at it that way, you think about more about what happens inside that building. So I'm even looking at, a sensory room to quiet space for even adults to have,
Mm-hmm.
to where we could, next episode, we could do this podcast from the quiet room at the YMCA,
Yeah, let's do it. I
right?
love that.
Just, different things like that to bring partners in, help impact the community here.
Well, and I love the sensory room that you just talked about. We actually put one in for our kids last year in our building because we know, kids are different nowadays and they're wired a little different. And sometimes they need a place to kind of decompress and get reset and refocus is how I call it. And so I feel like even as adults, we need that sometimes. So that's so cool that you're thinking about, incorporating something like that into the amenities of this new building. And I can't wait to
Yeah.
see that all unfold. It's going to be awesome.
Got a big vision, man.
And that's why you're on the show, buddy. That's why you're here. Let's talk a little bit more now. Jump into some stories that inspired you. I know you've got one that you've been waiting to tell. You've been with the Y for over 26 years, so I'm sure you've got lots of stories that you could tell. But give us some personal success stories from youth that you've seen, that have now grown into leaders through being a part of the YMCA.
Yeah. So, and this really goes out to everybody, not just educators, not just people that work directly with youth, but this story really is a measure of impact when you're not looking as yourself really as a mentor. All right. So just kind of keep that in mind as we walk through here. So in my first year with the YMCA, I caught two middle school kids going through lockers in the locker room, in the men's locker room. So they had money, they had credit cards, they had jewelry like watches and stuff that
Wow.
obviously weren't there. So caught them in the act of stealing. I called their parents, and the parents came, and one of the kids' parents ended up sending their kid to the juvenile detention center in Fort Wayne,
Oh,
and the other, I honestly don't remember because I don't think I saw the other kid ever again in my life.
okay.
A couple weeks go by, and I get a call from Dustin's parents, or actually probation officer, wanting to know if Dustin could do his um, community service at the YMCA.
Oh, I like it.
And I said, "Oh yeah, certainly, but on my terms, right?"
Right, right.
So I'm like, "He's going to come after school, because guess what? That's when his buddies were
Yeah.
coming in." So me being the shyster, right? I'm like, I'm gonna I'm gonna put this kid on display. I'm
Yeah.
gonna teach the other kids a lesson. He's gonna scrub toilets and all that good stuff.
Right,
So
right.
he did. Showed up. He completed his 40 hours, and I started to make this relationship with him to where then I championed him to be my volunteer gym monitor after school.
Oh,
Just kind of keeping the kids in line, and if I could go to him and say, "Hey, Dustin, these kids are cussing way too much," he could go to them, right?
right.
And I really had no idea that started my mentorship of him.
Mm-hmm.
So I found this out a couple of years ago, to where during that time I knew he was a good athlete, but during that time he was contemplating and in fact gave up sports to run with this other group of kids. But he kind of got refocused. He ended up trying out for the freshman basketball team and got cut. And then sophomore year, made the basketball team. And then by his senior year, he made all conference in basketball and football.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
And
awesome.
so he, got his bearings straight, got his feet underneath him, and then went off to Purdue to veterinarian school.
Wow.
And I lost track of him for a while. And one day, probably about 8 years after our interaction in the locker room, I get a call from the front desk, like, "Hey, there's somebody here that wants to talk to you." And I'm like thinking in my head, somebody's gonna complain that the hot tub's not hot enough or
Right.
something. So I dragged myself up to the front desk, and lo and behold, it was Dustin. And he goes, "Hey, I'm back in town for a little bit, and I wanted to come by and thank you." I'm like, "Thank me? What are you talking about?" He goes, "I want to thank you and the Y for not giving up on me back in the day." I'm like, "Dustin, that's just what we do.
Right.
That's
Right.
who we are." He goes, "No, no, no. So much more than that. Because the Y didn't give up on me, I wanted to change my life for the better, and I wanted to get into something that I was impacting and giving back to others and to the community. So I decided to pursue veterinarian school." Like, "Oh, that's cool." He goes,
Mm-hmm.
"But that's not it." He goes, "I graduated from Purdue pretty high in my class, went on to NC State, and which I didn't realize, but NC State's a very renowned veterinarian school as well."
Hmm.
Um, and he started researching cancer in dogs
Okay.
again, because he wanted to keep giving back to people. He knows how important dogs are to families and people. He wanted to give back in that way. He, I don't know if he still is, but at that time, he became a renowned researcher in cancer for dogs, to where he became an international presenter on his research. And so he was in Brazil presenting on his research and all that.
Wow.
Yeah, and so now he works at the United States largest veterinarian clinic in New Jersey somewhere.
Wow. That's an amazing
Yeah,
story. I
isn't
mean,
that cool?
it's cool, but Scott, you did that. I mean, you had a big part in that, buddy.
Yeah,
Yeah. I mean,
and so that didn't that's not where the story ends. And so here's another one of those Godsident moments, right? That we
yeah.
talked about earlier. So fast forward to where now my daughter Megan. Well, maintained a relationship with Dustin's mom throughout the year. She was or still is an avid Y member, and so I maintained my relationship with her, and you know she kept me up to date a little bit on where Dustin was. Well, now fast forward to where my daughter Megan is uh, at Homestead High School on the basketball team, and a freshman, right? So
Yep.
freshman in basketball's her life. Basketball's her really identity at age 15,
Mm-hmm.
and it wasn't going like she wanted it, and so she started kind of I don't know about a downward spiral, but she started kind of needing somebody to come alongside of her and uplift her. Her JV, so Megan made JV as a freshman.
Okay.
Um, Her JV basketball coach, Dustin's twin sister.
Oh my gosh.
Isn't that crazy?
How does that
Right?
happen?
But the story doesn't end there, Brad.
Uh-oh.
So Megan, does well in basketball and all that. And so I ended up forming a friendship with Dustin's sister, Nikki.
Yeah.
And I got to know her kids a little bit through, that relationship. But one day she calls me up and she goes, "Hey, do you have time to grab a coffee?" I'm like, "Yeah, of course." So the coffee conversation was about her. So she had a special needs, or has a special needs child.
Okay.
She has three boys. Her middle boy, special needs, got to the point where he's like, "Mom, why do my why do I always have to go to my brother's basketball games? Why can't he ever come to mine?" Well, there really wasn't any adaptive sports or anything at that time in Southwest Fort Wayne. So that cup of coffee led to us, Nikki and I, planning out adaptive sports at the Jorgensen YMCA in Fort Wayne.
You're kidding.
Which right, which then led to that expanding to our YMCA's throughout the YMCA of Greater Fort Wayne. And guess what we're talking about adding now here in LaPorte?
I'm going to guess adaptive sports.
Adaptive sports. You
That's
got it, buddy.
awesome. That is so cool. And real quick, like what all, I mean, I'm assuming basketball is one of them. What else are you trying to include with those adaptive sports for kids?
Yeah. We swim lessons were running in Fort Wayne before
Mm-hmm.
we did the sports, but swim lessons, basketball, we did flag football. So it was so cool seeing kids in wheelchairs playing flag football.
Right.
Isn't that awesome?
That is
Wheelchairs
cool.
to walkers. I'm trying to remember what else we did. And I think they were talking about doing tennis, just a bunch of different stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, hearing that stuff is getting me excited. And maybe as we kind of wind down here, what advice do you have for listeners who want to support the YMCA or get involved even? What are some things that people can do beyond just coming to swim and work out?
Yeah. Number one is volunteer, right?
Mm-hmm.
So as a nonprofit organization, no matter, if we're talking LaPorte, Fort Wayne, Indianapolis, anywhere, any YMCA is as successful involved as the community is,
Right.
right?
Yep.
So volunteers from sports to, you know, special events to whatever. So just, even if it's just for one special event, we do a big Tour de LaPorte event up here in LaPorte, and we do running events on a Saturday and we do biking events on Sunday. And those two events would not be successful without the community volunteering their time at those. And then, of course, in order to make some of these things work, such as the adaptive sports and all that, is, I think pretty much every YMCA runs an annual campaign.
Right.
So again, anything you can do to help support, time wise or donating, would be huge boost to any YMCA.
Awesome. Well, big shout out to YMCAs and get out there and volunteer, people. They do need your support. They do a lot for the community, as you can tell. I mean, we've only been talking for a little over 30 minutes and we could keep talking for
Yeah.
hours. I know we could, about everything that the YMCAs do for our communities. And they're very important to the communities. And again, they're not just about swimming and exercising. It's about fostering leaders, really when it comes down to it. Well, Scott, we're jumping into my favorite part of the show. It's rapid fire question time. Yeah, so I'm going to shoot some questions at you just right off the hip. Give us your quick answer, and we'll kind of wind this down and get you out of here for tonight. What was your earliest or first experience at the Y before you ever even worked with them?
Yeah. So I would have loved to say Camp Potawatomi in South Milford,
Yep.
but I had no idea Camp Potawatomi even existed or what it was really until I started working for the Y. But
Yep.
my first experience was in middle school. We had kind of reward field trips.
Okay.
And if you got all your homework done and all that, you got to go on field trip. And my first experience was to the Cole Center YMCA in Kendallville for a swimming and basketball field trip.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Yep.
So my first experience, well, I got two, I guess. My true first experience with YMCA was flag football as like a kindergarten kid, but I don't really remember it all that well. I mean, I still have the T-shirt. I kept the T-shirt all these years. It doesn't fit, but I remember, Dad taking me down to the Cole YMCA in Kendallville, and I played flag football. Then fast forward to probably elementary, not quite middle school yet. Tom Fitch, big Tom Fitch, shout out to
Oh
Tom,
yeah.
had a birthday party and invited the guys to, they rented out the Y, I think, or, we got in. We didn't have the run of the Y, but we played basketball and we swam. And I was like, man, this is a cool place. The YMCA in Kindleville was 20 minutes from my house. So it wasn't someplace that I could frequent very often, unfortunately, growing up. And my parents really didn't they just weren't into that sort of thing. So I never got to take advantage of it. But, years later, we had memberships for our girls and they went to preschool and did the swim thing. But that's my early experience too, similar to yours with the field trip. What's your favorite YMCA memory?
Well, I wish we had more time because I have so many great stories. From telling an older German lady that she couldn't sit in the sauna naked to a bunch of different stories like that. But
Oh my
I have,
gosh.
yeah. Um, but my favorite YMCA memory is Trevor and I, my son Trevor and I, coached a T-ball team at the YMCA together.
Okay.
So I think
Nice.
Trevor was probably in high school at the time, and it was just so cool to see him interact. I let him take the lead. He was the head coach.
Yeah.
Just so cool to see him interact with, the 4 and 5 year olds and them looking up to him like he was, the Superman. And it was just so cool. So I would
That,
say that's probably my favorite memory.
that's got to be a proud dad moment.
Yeah.
What's
Yeah, definitely.
what is one leadership lesson that you wish every teen could learn?
Yeah. I wish I would have told myself this when I was 16, 17 years old. Just don't beat yourself up, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Mistakes are okay, and mistakes are actually learning
Right.
opportunities,
It's how we learn.
right? And so I used to be 100% guy, meaning I wouldn't launch an idea, I wouldn't launch a new program until I was 100% because I was a perfectionist, right? Now I've kind of changed that into be a 75% guy, right?
I like that.
So launch something when you're 75% because your 75% is going to be somebody else's 100%, right?
Nice.
So yeah, so just don't beat yourself up, take it easy on yourself, but still strive to do your best.
I love it. What's your
Yeah.
favorite go-to activity or sport at the Y?
Oh man. Um so I really so you texted me earlier today, hey, are you ready to do the uh ready to do the podcast? I'm like, no, I'm having a terrible day with my lawnmowers. I got to jump on my bike and ride my bike. So
Yep.
I've really gotten into riding on the road.
Yep.
There's a lot of cool country roads out here to where I rode for an hour and I think I had one car pass me today. So
That's
that's
nice.
kind of my go-to.
Nice. Now, I did not include this question on your cheat
Uh-oh.
sheet, and
Oh no.
I don't know how
Here we
much
go.
time we have. Favorite Scott and Brad moment through the years, and you and I are the
Oh,
only one that's going to appreciate it probably. But what's your favorite moment between you and me?
just one?
Yeah, we got to narrow it down to one. You do one, and I'll do one. How's that?
Okay.
We'll probably have the same one.
It's got to be the fishing boat episode, right?
That is right up there. To tell you the
Oh
truth, it's
my
right
gosh.
there.
So we're out chopping waves, and my grandpa's 7-foot aluminum fishing boat. And a speedboat sees that we're chopping waves, and he circles around us, and lo and behold, there comes a pretty hefty wave right at
Tidal
us.
wave.
Right? We hit the bow of the boat, hit that wave head on, and my hand. So it was an outboard, hand throttle motor. My hand fell off the motor. The motor died right as the wave consumed us.
Yep. And we went
Boat
down.
underwater. Yep. And we swam underwater to hook the ski rope, wasn't it? A
I
ski
think it
rope.
was. Yeah, there was
And
a
we
rope
towed the boat underwater to shore.
to shore.
Yeah.
Didn't lose anything, but maybe like your grandpa had a couple pieces of carpet in there to put things
Yeah.
on, and we had oars, we had life jackets, and unfortunately, the motor did not start back up.
Yeah, right? Take the cover off, and I was expecting a fish to fall out, but yeah.
Yep.
That was, yeah. You have a
So,
different one?
mine's probably a little more broad, but I'd have to say I mean, again, you say, how do you pick just one? We've shared a lot of time together and it's been awesome and it's going to continue to be awesome as we grow older together. But I think one of my favorite memories was just the year that we worked together for the Indiana Toll Road.
You
Couple,
betcha.
couple of grunts, didn't know what we were doing. I couldn't find a good summer job and I don't know how we stumbled upon it. It didn't pay crap, but man, did we have fun.
Oh yeah,
And we
from
got dirty and
deer
sweaty.
pits to golf balls to
Uh-huh.
weed
Talking
whacking.
talking on walkie-talkies when we weren't supposed to be.
Oh my gosh,
Didn't know that
yeah,
people were listening to us
yeah,
and making some good friends with some older guys that probably shaped us a little bit for the good or the worse, I suppose. But it was a good summer. And I can remember too that we ended that summer on a road trip to Cedar Point, if I don't, if
right,
my
yeah,
memory serves me right, because I can remember driving by the toll road and honking and waving at those guys, as we headed east to Cedar Point and wrapped up our summer. It was a good summer. We didn't make a lot of money, but we made a ton of memories, and
yeah.
that's what
I
it's all
finally got
about.
my nerve up to do the demon drop, and we literally was next in line, and it closed down again.
Yeah, I about forgot about that.
Yep,
Oh
yep.
man. Well, buddy, we could keep talking for hours, and
Yeah,
you
certainly.
have just now surpassed my longest segment on
All right.
interventions and detentions. Nice job. You kept it going and kept it
Yeah.
rolling. I want to thank you so much for being a part of this. I mean, first off, thank you for being one of my best friends ever, and I couldn't do a lot of the things I do without the experiences you and I've had. So thank you so much. Thank you for being on. Is there one last thing that you want to leave people with before we wind this out today?
You know, no matter what you do, have fun. Just have fun with whatever you do in life. And good things will come when your spirit is high, your emotions are high. Good things will come when you have a positive outlook.
I can't agree more. Hey, buddy,
Yep.
thanks again for being here. I wish you the best at LaPorte and keep me posted on everything that's happening your way with the Y. And I hope to get up there and see you soon and give me a tour of all your facilities. It sounds like a great place, and I know you're going to do great things.
I got a YMCA t-shirt waiting on you, buddy.
Hey, I got interventions and detention ones for you. We're going to swap them out. Thanks
All
again,
right.
buddy. And thanks everybody for tuning in again this week for another episode of Interventions and Detentions. Tune in every week. We'll come back one more week away.